Good day, everyone. I'd like to welcome you back to Contemplating Catholicism. We need to be in prayer for Pope Francis as he recuperates from his bronchitis, who is 88 years old and in great need of strength and healing. And this Pope, probably more than many others in recent history, has been a lightning rod for many different causes that his leadership is repudiated for one reason or another. Some would call him a heretic. Others who are schismatic have separated themselves, like many Protestants have, and still claim to be Catholic, united with the Church. You have others who want to pick and choose what Catholic theology teaches, what he represents, and have rejected his leadership. And many are what some people refer to as cafeteria Catholics. I remember the last bishop of Washington, D.C. area criticized a former president concerning his view on abortion and referred to him as a Catholic, cafeteria Catholic. He picks and chooses what he wants to believe. And we had a Speaker of the House that was the same way, who, again, claimed to be Catholic, but publicly hold to doctrines that are anti-Catholic in many ways. And here we are at the present administration. And there's a conflict again with the Vatican, because the Vatican and the Pope and the bishops in America, too, want to speak up for immigrants. And the Pope wants to support the American bishops in that way. And many want to give the impression, well, stay in the Vatican. You don't have any say-so here. Even though in America we have, 69 million Catholics in America? Many of these countries that migrants come from have many Catholics, including Mexico with 100 million people. Other parts of the world, in South America especially, many Catholics, including Venezuela with 22 million. Brazil. Brazil has 123 million Catholics. But many want to say the same thing. Pope has no say-so. And we have someone in the president administration, again, that wants to say, well, I appeal to Odo Amaris. Odo Amaris, the order of love, basically what it means. And someone in the administration said there is a very Christian concept that you love your family, then you love your neighbor, and then you love your community, and then you love your fellow citizens in your own country, and then after you can focus and prioritize on the rest of the world. The implication is the people that are here are not from our own country. We have no obligation to love them. And I think the Vatican very rightly brought up the parable of the Good Samaritan. What's that all about? Who is my neighbor? My neighbor is the one at my doorstep that has a need in some way. That's who my neighbor is. And the Good Samaritan, who was from a different ethnic background, and the person who was beat up on the side of the road, was commended by Jesus Christ for what he did to this neighbor. You ask, well, who is my neighbor? It's whoever is right around you. But this is nothing new. What's happening in America, many refer to as a Christian nationalism. And nationalism itself is certainly not anything new. It's something uh, that has been prevalent in many different countries. In fact, if we go back to the 1800s, there was a movement which was called Gallicanism. And Gallicanism, it was in France, and basically what Gallicanism sought to do was to repudiate the authority of the Pope over France. The same thing happened in Austria and also in Germany, from Brownianism, Josephinism, these different uh, people in these countries wanted to say, well, we have final authority over the Pope. This led to a document in Vatican I. Vatican I basically said through Pastor Alternus says that the Pope has primacy over Catholics all over the world, over all the bishops. The Pope has primal authority as the successor of Peter. Jesus gave authority to Peter and their successors, and he has primal authority over the other bishops. And it's perpetual. It started with Peter and it continues. And it's also universal. It applies to the bishops of Germany and other places, its primal authority. The document also defined for us papal infallibility, that when the Pope is speaking what came to be known as ex cathedra, from the chair of Peter, what he pronounces as church teaching is authoritative and it's infallible. Now, of course, many people want to reject anything to do with that because we would like to have our own infallibility. We want to decide for ourselves and pick and choose what we want to believe. But to say that the Pope has no say so in this area is contrary to Scripture. It's also contrary to church teaching. Uh, the document that I made reference to before, Dignitas Infinita, has something to say about migrants. I think it's very important. It says in the document, which was signed off by the Pope, it's part of Vatican teaching, it's authoritative. Migrants are among the first victims of multiple forms of poverty. Not only is their dignity denied in their home countries, but also their lives are put at risk because they no longer have the means to start a family, to work, or to feed themselves. So, what do? Of course, they go somewhere else where they can provide for their family, where they can eat, where they can find a job. Once they have arrived in countries that should be able to accept them, migrants are seen as entitled, like others, to participate in the life of society. And it's forgotten that they possess the same intrinsic dignity as any person. No one will ever deny that they are human beings, yet in practice, by our decisions and the way we treat them, we can show that we consider them less worthy, less important, less human. I like to suggest that political parties have bantered migrants back and forth. Uh, it's not just one party, it's two parties. We've had a few different kinds of administrations, and we still don't have a just immigration policy. What did we do? We opened the border on one hand and let anyone come in. And then when they came in, we said, no, we're going to kick you out. So we knee jerk reaction from one way to the other. And it's a sad situation because they're the ones that become the victims of our political extremism from one side to the other. There's a place in El Paso. It's called the Assumption House. The Attorney General of Texas gave him a subpoena. And basically, the subpoena said this: you hand over all your records right now, or else we're going to shut you down. And of course, they balked at that and didn't do it. And they got a court order that stopped the Attorney General from doing what they set out to do. The Assumption House. The Assumption House has been there for many years, even way before the present migrant crisis. And it's a Catholic organization. And right now in the Supreme Court of Texas, they're bantering about whether or not they can be shut down or not. It's interesting what the Texas Tribune said concerning the Assumption House. Those efforts coming from the Attorney General come from as religious figures who are emboldened by the rise of Christian nationalism continue to demonize migrants and those who aid them. Assumption House, because they're acting as that good Samaritan, they're demonized, sought to close them down. But again, we use it as political bantering. And of course, we run a whole platform on being anti-immigrant, illegal immigrants. I like to just close by saying this. We need to make America great again by making immigration great again. Instead of having these knee-jerk political posturing that goes on from one party to the other, where migrants many times are the ones who suffer because of it, why can't we come up with an immigration policy that's fair for everyone, that gives a fair path to citizenship, where people can become productive members of our society? It's what we've done in the past. Every immigrant group that came to America went through a time of where they weren't accepted. Whether you were Italian and you went to New York City, or if you were German and you came here and you were a German Catholic or a German Lutheran, you were referred to in different ways. Whether you were from Ireland, you were indentured servants in many cases. And not far from here, it was the Irish who built the canal in Colombia. They're all viewed as second-class citizens. But they were citizens who became part of America. And where would we be without them? I have a book that's entitled, it's by Ernie Ranley. It's called Pickup Stuff. And Ernie Ranley, he's deceased now, but his father was Peter Ranley. And Peter was the son of an immigrant that came here. And here's a little picture of his family, and I'll see if you can zero in on this. That picture, I know some of you have trouble raising one child or two. Peter and his wife raised 13 children. And 13 children, we have in this picture, there are 2 priests and a nun. But there's another picture, and this picture is from World War II. This is a picture of 4 Ranley sons who all served in World War II at the same time. You have 2 priests, a nun, 4 servicemen who fought during World War II from immigrants, productive people in our society. And I wonder, why can't we do that. We think we're smart enough to fix all the problems in America. Why can't we fix immigration? That's what I wonder. I mean, people now who are here, why can't we have some kind of path to citizenship where people become productive members of society? We've done injustice upon injustice by taking people who came here and then dumping them in an area that's already depressed, like Springfield, Ohio, and we oppress perhaps an economic group that's already struggling, and we put more struggling people on top of it, and we say that's our immigration policy? Come on, we can do better than that. But much of what politicians say is just simply hypocritical. It's hypocritical. And we've proven that by taking a busload or two and shipping them to Martha's Vineyard. And of course, they're not welcome there. Not in my backyard. Where is our fair immigration policy? There's people here. We're not going to ship them all back. What are we going to do? We need a fair immigration policy whereby people become productive citizens of the United States of America. Where is it? Why can't our politicians figure that out? Why can't we make America great again by making immigration great again? It's what's built our country. It's the strength of our country. Most of us are sons and daughters of immigrants. Why can't we do it again? Instead of thinking, well, we got to get rid of everyone. No, that's not the solution. There may be some who, especially the criminal element, that need to go back somewhere. I don't know. But we need an immigration policy instead of having knee-jerk politicians that go from one extreme to the other. Where is it? We can do better than that. I'm sorry. All people, though, are valuable. Everyone is made in the image of God, and we need to recognize that. I remember one time I was a teenager, early teenager, and I went to go work on the tomato farm for the day. And the job I had for the day was to sit on the back of a tractor, and there was a planter, and you planted tomato plants, but you sat on this little seat, and what you did was you had a box of tomato plants in front of you, and this little thing came around, and you put a tomato plant in it, and it took it and it put it in the ground. But I was there all day, and I didn't understand a word that was being said all day. Everybody spoke Spanish. I didn't understand a word. I did get a little taste of what it was like to live in an area where you may not understand anything like many of our migrants do, doing jobs that perhaps nobody else was willing to do, but would do it all day, sitting on the back of the hot tractor on the planter, planting, and taking many jobs, any job that they can get, sometimes being taken advantage of because of their status. And people have used them one way or another for so many years, whether it's in that area or whether it's the drug cartels or whether it's the sex trade, taking advantage of people who are precious in the sight of God. Let's pray that we could have balance and have an immigration policy that will lead to a path of citizenship where people can be productive in our society. Thank you very much for listening to my few thoughts today. You have a great day.